Ink-a-dink, 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 ink-a-dink. Wow! Oh, we're all set? Okay, we're back. Okay? Screw Fox News in parentheses. Here comes cat news. And there goes. There we go. Okay. Let's bring our front row audience back in a little bit too. Okay. Good. Okay. So, we're covering, it's our continuing coverage of the Scottish Referendum, which we've titled To Be or Not to Be a Part of the British Empire. And we had some interesting callers in while we were covering the first half of this show. And amongst those callers in, we had, from the hereafter, we had a fellow by the name of Robert Burns, the hero of all heroes in Scotland, and Basil defines him as being the hero of all heroes only because Robert Burns had 15 cats, and each one of those 15 cats, collectively, they were considered in Scotland the cats of all cats. And that's where Basil is the modern day version of the cat of all cats. But back then, all 15 of them were considered the cats of all cats. Not just in Scotland, mind you, but worldwide. Globally, they were. So, we're waiting on some more results while we wait for some more callers in. And, okay. That's, we're expecting to get Dumfried in shortly. Now, Dumfried is one of those bellwether places that statisticians, that pollsters have decided was an important bellwether on how this election will go, because Dumfries is expected to go heavily for remaining a part of the British Empire. And as you might expect, although Edinburgh went against that when we got the results in, as Edinburgh 61-39 for no, for remaining part of the British Empire. The cities are generally populated by young people, and because of that, young people being more inclined toward change and toward trying out alternative routes to governance, the cities are expected to go more in favor of seceding from the British Empire, where the more rural areas, the more elderly Scots populate those areas, are expected to do their conservative best to keep Scotland in the fold of the British Empire. So at any rate, okay, we have a caller in, and it's on the big phone, which is good. Tweety, is it? We haven't even had to ring up the hereafter yet, so we haven't had to use Bill Murray's technique of that he's taught us to reach out to the hereafter. We've got Bill in the hammock out there, so thank you for continuing to be on our show and in the audience. But we haven't had to reach out to the hereafter to reach out to Robert Burns, but you have another poem. Okay. And he's been kind enough to send along that poem via Western Union. And this is from Robert Burns. The bold independent, unconquered and free, her bright course with glory forever shall run. For brave Caledonia immortal must be. I'll prove it from Euclid as clear as the sun. Okay. And we'll have to get a little help from the audience, or perhaps other callers in, as far as deciphering that. I'll read it again. The bold independent, unconquered and free, her bright course with glory forever shall run. For brave Caledonia immortal must be. I'll prove it from Euclid, as clear as the sun. Okay. So, we have you on, Robert Burns, and this is what's on everyone's mind. In favor of independence, or in favor of remaining part of the British Empire? Says, well, there's a lot to be said for both. Says there's a lot to be said for both. Scotland has certainly some mineral wealth that the British Empire would not have, and that's Scotland's got some significant oil fields producing oil, which is to be found nowhere else in Britain, at least not in mainland Britain. And Scotland is probably economically better off remaining part of the British Empire. In spite of that, in spite of those the wealth from oil. And why is that, Mr. Bruce? It says, first of all, Mr. Burns, not Mr. Bruce. Well, and second of all, he says, not the Burns on The Simpsons, by the way. Thank you. So, says, well, it's a complicated issue, and he's at times in his short life on Earth and in times in the hereafter, he's been a big fan of independence. But seeing as the being part of the British Empire hasn't necessarily done badly by the Scottish people. They do maintain a fair amount of cultural independence, as evidenced by our Scottish attire for this broadcast. Says he understands that there's a lot of reasoning behind wanting independence, and yet there's a lot of reasoning behind staying part of the British Empire. So he's still kind of remaining neutral on this, and besides, he's dead, he can't vote anyway, so thank you, and we've got some more results coming in. So what we'll do is we'll switch back to our results table, and we'll speak to you again shortly, hopefully. Thanks for calling. Okay, more results we have. And just to recap, on the no side of the equation, we've had Moray come in, 57% to 43%. And a lot of these are rural areas with not a lot of voters. So they don't count quite as much as the more urban areas of Scotland. And we have Argyll in no, 58% to 41%. We've got Aberdeen in as no, 58% to 42%. Now we have Inverclyde in at 50%, 50%. Well, essentially 50-50. It's 51% no, that's to say remaining a part of the British Empire, and 49.9% yes to secede from the British Empire. Now the big winner so far on the yes side of the vote is the city of Dundee, which is voted. They have 93,000 registered voters, and some 84% of them made it to the polls, as seems to be the case in most of Scotland. The numbers are all coming in at the very least in the high 70% mark, and generally in the 80s as far as numbers of percentage of the voters that have actually gone to the poll today. Dundee came in 57 to 43% in favor of yes, in favor of seceding from Britain. And we have another one in, another area in, another larger area, North Lanarkshire. And we have, and I think Basil, I think that's the area of Scotland that the person you converse with on Patriot Update and on Godfather Politics hails from North Lanarkshire. Denise the Celt? I don't know. Maybe we'll. You're expecting a call from her, huh? Okay. I see the twitch of the nose, and that means two things. Means the person we're talking about stinks, and yes, he expects her to call in. Okay, so North Lanarkshire in, and that was supposed to be one of the bellwethers for the yes vote because it has a substantial population, 225,000 people registered, and apparently. We have the percentages in, and we have the percentages in that have actually voted. Voting's down a little bit there. It's only at 77% of the registered voters have cast ballots in North Lanarkshire. And that's 77% of about 225,000 registered voters there. And the voters come in, and it's a yes, but it's a very lukewarm yes. 51% yes in favor of seceding from the British Empire, and 49% no, not in favor of seceding from the British Empire. So that's an important bellwether that we've seen come in, and we'll have to wait and see when Glasgow comes in, because it looks like now we're counting on at least the people in favor of seceding from Great Britain. The yes voters are counting heavily, even more heavily now, on Glasgow to come in on their column. Because Glasgow has 360,000 registered voters. That's perhaps, I believe, the largest city in Scotland. So at any rate, let's see. Okay. Well, it's on the Inky Dinky phone. Are we talking to anybody on the Inky Dinky phone? And Basil says, yeah. Meow. Says he's programmed Denise the Celt's Celt phone to come in on the Inky Dinky line, just as a show of disrespect for her. Hello, thank you for calling Basil BuddhaCat Presents. We're doing cat news, and who is this? And okay, go ahead. I'm just checking. I'm having Tweety check and see if that's in fact who. Okay, Tweety says yes, it is the Celt phone of Denise the Celt. And okay, have you got some commentary to add to our broadcast about the referendum election? She's chanting in a rather loud chant. Those damn. Did we able to edit that properly, Tweety and Snarky? Good. Okay, anything constructive to add, Denise? She says, and she's chanting, it's always those damn. It's always those damn. Okay, I had not thought of you as being a card-carrying swastika carrier. Does that make sense? A swastika card-carrying person, but apparently it appears that you are. Says the only reason why anybody would ever think that is because of those damn juice. Okay. Well, we shall see how. We've got more returns in. Okay. Perhaps we'll allow you to call back later in the show. Okay, that's not surprising because that's that same group that she blames basically for all the world's ills, and that she was talking about in her remarks, which hopefully were bleeped in time. Hopefully hopefully, because this is going out on the air. And anyway, so here we go. We've got Fife. Fife is in, and a great American hero by the name of Barney Fife. Apparently, his family came from Fife, and of course, Barney Fife is on the Andy Griffith Show. Is Andy's deputy sheriff. So Fife is in. Fife, with an amazing 89% of the registered voters there. Now, mind you, it's more of a rural area, but Fife is in.
What?
And the count is 55% to 45% in favor of remaining part of the British Empire. So it does not look good at this point in our returns. Doesn't look good for the separatists, the ones that want to secede from Great Britain. Really counting on some amazing results from the last few rural areas. Okay, we also have two other areas that have come in, and again, it's not looking well. They're rural areas, so as we might expect, they're looking to remain part of the British Empire as conservative folks are want to be. Change is not a big plus with them. They're, as we know from other folks we've had conversations with, change is a frightening thing to a lot of people, and it's more frightening to people that are conservatives than it is to people that are progressives. It just is. So what do we have? We have Highland, and as you might imagine, that's a big area in the northern part of Scotland geographically, but not a large number of voters. But Highland's come in at a pretty healthy 82% of the people voting. And the vote has broken down this way: 53% in favor of remaining part of the British Empire, that's to say they voted no, and 47% in favor of seceding from the British Empire and forming their own, becoming the country of Scotland rather than part of the British Empire, Scotland. And the numbers are starting to look bad, and we've got a couple of our audience members here are secessionists, and they're here hoping to celebrate, and they appear a bit glum at this point. And keep your chins up, folks. We're still early in the voting. We've only done about one third of the geographical areas of Scotland have had the returns come in, and we're still waiting on the city of Glasgow, and that's going to be an important one because Glasgow has 360,000 registered voters. So that's substantially more than these smaller areas that have voted. We do have another small area in, and that's the island of the Shetland Islands. And Shetland, with 18 registered voters. No, it's a few more than that. Not many more, though. Not a lot. Shetland has come in 64 to 36% in favor of remaining part of the British Empire. Not a lot of votes, but it's a national vote, and every vote matters. And turnout in Scotland has been great. Nobody can complain after the fact here. I don't think they can, at least, that a poor turnout hurt their cause, no matter how the vote goes. We've got a very large percentage of Scottish voters are showing up at the polls in the 80% so far. In the United States, if we get 40% for a presidential election year, that's a lot. So we've got a lesson or two we can learn from the Scottish people. So we've got more results coming in. Orkney, which is another island group up in the North Sea. Orkney is in, and as expected, but maybe not quite by this large a percentage. Orkney has gone 67% to 33% for remaining part of the British Empire and against seceding from the British Empire. So that's the story so far. We're waiting for more results to come in. Hello, Basil BuddhaCat presents. Yep, we figured it's Elsie. Elsie's a little geographically challenged at times, and she asks, is Guernsey part of Scotland? And no, the answer to that is unfortunately no. So the Guernsey cattle will not be voting in this election. So says, okay, she's still a bit tired from the long battle against invader of her.
Dear Diary, the authorities have removed the pair of black pants from the couch. There is no longer any place for me to sleep. I have vomited 3 times in protest, but there is no sign that anything will change. My only other hope for rest is on the computer keyboard, which is nearby, but sadly no one is currently using it. I will wait. Dear Diary, my food dish is now only half full. It is obvious that I will soon starve to death. I have repeatedly tried to draw attention to my predicament with the authorities, but they are clearly either stupid, deaf, or just cruel. This may be my last entry. Dear Diary, it has come to my attention that the authorities have 2 hands, but seem to have made it the sadistic policy only to pet me with one of them at a time. Half of love is just low, which is how I feel. My spirit is breaking. Dear Diary, I've decided to plead with the authorities to rub my belly. I think it'll do me good in my current condition. I would like to receive 2 rubs exactly. A 3rd one and I will bite the shit out of them as per protocol. Wish me luck. Dear Diary, the water dish continues to vex me. The authorities seem to taunt me with this cruel liquid that has neither smell nor distinguishing visual markings. A sad anniversary. This is the 900th day that my nose has been unintentionally wetted. Dear Diary, yesterday I put in a simple request regarding the door to the garden, but seemingly out of sheer spite, the authorities refused to hold the door open long enough for me to decide whether to go outside or inside. Or outside, or inside. Dear Diary, the authorities have punished me for taking a crap on the living room floor. This despite my efforts to distribute the litter evenly throughout the house. I am convinced that they are madmen, devoid of reason. Dear Diary, the squirrel was back again today. It mocks me. I will try and release my mind from this torment and groom myself for 4 hours. Dear Diary, I have been stalking an insect on the wall for the past 3 days now. All of my attempts to capture it have been thwarted. However, today, on further inspection, I found out that the insect was in fact a thumbtack. There is no logic in this place. Dear Diary, it is 3 in the morning. The authorities have closed the door to the bedroom. I can only assume that they have forgotten about me and have left me here to die. As a last resort, I will stand post for the rest of the night and sing the song of my people in hopes that they rescue me. Dear Diary, when the authorities poop, I have tried to poop in the bathtub litter box with them in a show of solidarity. I have yet to experience any gratitude. Dear Diary, my attempts to destroy the terrible plant have all been for naught. Somehow, almost as if by some evil magic, a new one has appeared in its place. I will have to start over now. Like Sisyphus, I am bound to hell. It has occurred to me today that my dearest human has never sniffed my backside. I must bond with him in different ways. Like my father always used to say, if you want someone to look you in the eye, make sure that your mouth smells exactly like your butt. It's difficult to argue with that logic. And so I have eaten some rotting earthworms in preparation for my dear human's return, as well as one of his socks. Dear Diary, it's not so much that I miss my testicles. I know it's a rite of passage in our pack, and I'm sure that my dearest human has had his removed as well. But when that one bulldog comes to the dog park and parades his testicles around, I can't help but notice how Ginger looks at them. I love Ginger. To be fair, I will admit, he has a fine-smelling butthole. Dear Diary, the cat is a curious, magical creature. It's as if a teddy bear mated with a cactus, and it's much less fun to play with than it would appear. and yet it poops delicious candy into a box of pea-flavored sprinkles. Dearest Human guards these treats jealously, often harvesting them into a barrel. But I will admit that I sneak one from time to time. They are delicious. Forgive me. Dear Diary, this is the 733rd day that I have tried to test what Cat swore to me was true. Namely, that if you hump anything long enough, you will find a vagina. So far, the results have been mixed. My Dearest Human's leg vagina has not revealed itself. However, I'm almost certain that I felt something on the brown teddy bear. More tests are needed. Dear Diary, I have yet to see my Dearest Human poop anywhere. I suspect he may not know how. I have resolved to try and teach him when we patrol the neighborhood each day in search of men with hats and beards. It is embarrassing to do in public, but he must learn somehow. I fear he will die of constipation if I don't succeed. Fortunately, my Dearest Human seems to show some interest and is now collecting my feces in a small bag. Soon. Dear Diary, I must be more careful when licking my genitals. My Dearest Human seems sensitive about it, most likely because he's incapable of licking his own. As always, I am in awe of his ability to be so noble, despite what I can only imagine are filthy, filthy genitals. He hides them every day. Dear Diary, today I have added a 4th circle to my pre-pooping ritual. As before, the first circle is to verify that I do in fact need to poop. The second is to check for gremlins and men with beards and hats. The third is to re-verify my need for pooping, and now the 4th is to honor my newly deceased toy. Stuffed llama, rest in peace. I didn't mean to shake your head off. Dear Diary, I told the cat about how my Dearest Human has promoted me, teaching me to shake so I can participate in his business dealings. However, Cat pointed out that I'm often unaware of what I'm shaking on. For example, when I shook the neighbor's hand this morning, I have no clue what I agreed to. None. Cat says this is how the devil buys souls. I will pee on the bed for comfort. Dear Diary, my Dearest Human asked me where the ball was when it was clearly in plain sight. I brought it over, and he threw it even farther away, then asked me where it was, and was very happy when I brought it again. Perhaps a metaphor? Dearest Human leaves each day, and I am happy when he returns. Wait, maybe he is the ball, and I am Dearest Human. This is too much. I must pee on the bed.
They say they'd rob your grandma blind on Wall Street, on Wall Street. Fritter her away her Medicare on Wall Street. And Pharma Oil and their pet fox don't care if she lives in a box, so long as they wear platinum jocks on Wall Street, on Wall Street. Meow.